Never mind, at least you checked your first guest in. There was no spite in Juniper, only a refusal to think about anything for more than half a second before she said or did it. Finnian knew that her congratulations were just as sincere as her laughter. He tapped the computer to close the screen and allowed himself a small smile. He had done it, and for a griffin, no less. Now, his mother and Juniper's father would have no choice but to accept that he was ready. Juniper had never taken the family business as seriously as he did. She and her father Caspian had joined it when he married Finian's mother Ida nearly 10 years ago. She had once muttered something about training to be a sorcerer, but that might just have been because she and Finnian were having an argument at the time and she had briefly wished she could turn him into a slug. Finnian himself, though, felt nothing but pride, knowing that he would be next in the long line of Marvelos to run the hotel. One of the bells on the back wall of the reception area rang. The spidery writing on the ancient label next to it said, "Service Entrance." This usually meant a delivery, which was always exciting. Juniper immediately assumed an air of disinterest, stepping casually past him, her hands behind her back. Finnian wasn't fooled by this act one bit. Undignified though it was, he pushed his sister out of the way and dashed for the service door. Juniper, who had been expecting the push and the subsequent rush to get there first, had her elbows ready. She was much fonder of using them than she should have been, and made good use of them. First jabbing Finnian in the ribs, then keeping him at bay until they reached the door at the same time. Finnian grabbed wildly for the knob and wrenched the door open. It was a much smaller and far less imposing door than the grand entrance, but the warding was just as strong. Guests frequently ordered parcels to be delivered to the hotel. Of course, the parcels never contained anything magical, but sometimes they smelled strange or made suspicious mewing or croaking sounds, and one, to Juniper's delight, had even dripped. Finnian frowned and peered out of the open door. There was no one there. Juniper elbowed him out of the way and saw the letter before he did. It lay on the ground, small, brown, and unassuming. It was addressed to a Henry Gravelaxe. She grabbed it, sniffed it, then tried to peer through the seal in the paper, all while fending off Finnian. Elbows again. "Juniper, that's private!" And "Juniper, there are rules!" had no effect. Finally, Finnian said, "Juniper, I will tell!" and instantly regretted it. The scornful look she gave him spoke volumes, but he was stopped mid-sentence in any case. An earth-shattering scream came from the direction of the spa. Juniper frowned, the letter forgotten. "Was that the banshee?" she asked uncertainly. The children were used to the banshee, who had been there for some time, and to the mournful howls of Orthrus, the two-headed dog. They were used to the creaks and groans of the hotel, the strange chanting that came from behind closed doors. All practice, of course, no live magic. They were used to unusual demands from high-maintenance guests and to taking delivery of strange parcels. They were not used to screams. "That was not the banshee," said Finnian, meeting his sister's frown with one of his own. "That was Mortimer's." Juniper's dark eyebrows shot up. Mortimer's? Their curiously absent concierge? This was a man who had once listened to a witch demand 27 live tarantulas and said, "Very good, madam," without so much as widening his eyes. He was not a man prone to screaming. Finnian looked at Juniper, and Juniper looked at Finnian. She flung the letter at the shelf under the desk. They both went running.